An Afghan national living in Texas is facing federal charges after allegedly threatening to carry out a suicide attack using a car or a truck bomb. So how did the feds find him? Well, it wasn't by espionage or even good old-fashioned detective work. The guy posted a video about his plans on social media sites, plural. Mohammed Dawood Al-Okazai posted both on TikTok and Facebook that American, quote, infidels must perish, and promised to use this sort of yellow cooking oil that he said was favored by the Taliban to turn his vehicle into an explosive device. Attorney General Pam Bondi said that the suspect came into the country during the Biden administration and, quote, explicitly stated that he came here in order to kill American citizens. And speaking of Afghan nationals who immigrated to the U.S., we also have a development in the case against Ramanullah Lakhanwal, who was accused of attacking 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. last week. Charging documents claim that he was heard shouting Allahu Akbar as he was firing his gun in the shooting that left 1 dead and a second critically injured. Billionaire philanthropists Michael and Susan Dell have made a historic charitable commitment of $6.25 billion as seed money for Trump accounts. Those are savings accounts for American children created by the Big Beautiful Bill. The goal is to help kids pay for their education or buy a home after they turn 18. Here's the president on Tuesday.
The Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account.
Invest America says it's the largest single donation made to U.S. children ever. The new program was originally part of President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, and that promised accounts for U.S. citizens born between 2025 and 2028, seeded with a federal grant of $1,000. The Dells' donation will expand the program to include children 10 and under born before 2025, and it will cover 25 million children who live in zip codes where the median income is under $150,000. And the program could still expand further, as the president suggested he might chip in some of his own personal wealth, and said some of his other wealthy friends were interested in helping out too. The accounts will launch on July 4th of next year. Now to a New York Post exclusive. Official logs show President Trump is clocking some long days at the Oval Office and has not, as the New York Times reported last week, cut back on his workload due to signs of fatigue. Their words, not mine. The previously unpublished documents span the same 10 weekdays last month that the Times story cited. They show that the president worked roughly 50 hours each week, not counting any official duties on the weekend or the unsolicited phone calls he's known to take. Releasing this information is pretty unprecedented, but the White House is trying to combat the narrative that the 79-year-old commander-in-chief is showing his age. On November 12th, for example, the president had 32 different meetings with a wide variety of staffers, lawmakers, and businessmen. 32 seems like a touch high even for a president, but there's a reason. This particular day was the day Congress voted to end the 43-day government shutdown. The president began his day with a staff meeting at 10:30 in the morning and ended it with a 10:40 p.m. meeting with a corporate executive. The Times report, which, if you hadn't guessed, enraged the president, was based off readily available public schedules, which leave out a lot of presidential duties. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt joined the president in refuting that Times report earlier this week.
Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock.
For more on these stories and everything else you could possibly want to know, check out the New York Post in print or online. And don't forget, like and subscribe to the New York Postcast wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. I promise, you'll be glad you did.